Hello there. This is going to be a long video because I wanted to tell a lot of things about Yagorath and how to use her and everything. So I'm putting some timestamps on the description so that you can jump to whatever you want to hear or see. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, so Yagorath is already up on the Paladins test server. And there are some things that I noticed about Yagorath's abilities that are really important for people to know. Whenever you're traveling with Yagorath, instead of just going forward, you can also move to the side or even backwards. But whenever you use acceleration, the first impulse from the acceleration is going to throw you whenever your mouse is looking at. So for example, if I'm going like this and I use acceleration, it will change my position. This can also be really good whenever you are, for example, running away. You just move your camera to a side and use it. For example, I'm running away from someone. I'm going, and then I use this. It's better to use acceleration looking at where you want to go, because using acceleration makes it really hard to move. It's still somewhat manageable to move if you use both the directions and the camera to move, but it's harder. The second thing to note is that the attack from the puddles of venom do not stack. So for each enemy you should just try to get one pool of venom. You could also spam the venom because throwing them does a little damage. For example, here I'm doing 48 damage instead of 40 whenever I hit them, but the puddle of venom by itself only does 40 damage, and it doesn't stack with other puddles. You see? Because the damage doesn't stack, you should only put one puddle for each person, unless you can shoot them. If you can shoot them, then yeah, spray like crazy. If not, you should just try to put your puddles on strategic positions. Especially because the acid pulse slows enemies too. The other thing that you should notice is that your pulse is bigger than you see on the map. What do I mean by that? You see that Fernando? You see that Fernando over there? If I use my pulse over here, on the map you're going to on your game you're going to see like the pulse doesn't reach Fernando, but you can still see him. So the image, the AOE sign that you see on the signal is smaller than the actual AOE of the ability. Look at this. You see? I can still look at Fernando even though the signal area doesn't seem like it will reach. That's something that you should take into account whenever you're trying to use your ability. Or if you thought that the ability wasn't as useful because the signal doesn't seem to be as big. Look, the signal is big. On your ability chart, it doesn't really say how big it is. The second thing to take into account is that if you see my puddle of venom, I'm making 40 damage. I don't know if this is the actual damage because right now I'm using loadouts and everything to make more damage, or use more venom, I don't remember correctly, but my puddle is doing 40 damage. But if I throw one of my exploding quills,
this will tenderize them.
You see? Did you see that? If whenever they're standing on the puddle of venom, I throw one of my exploding quills, it will start doing more damage. So your exploding quills might be useful to do some damage, but you should try to use it on people after you put the venom on them. This was the reason why I sort of noticed that you debilitate people when you shoot them on the acid pool, because this card says increase the duration of the vulnerability applied by hitting an enemy affected by acid pulse with piercing quills. So yes, that was intentional. If you hit people with piercing quills when they're standing on a pool of acid, you give them vulnerability. I don't know if it affects your teammates too, so that they can do more damage to them, but at least you and your acid does more damage. Okay, another thing about the Venom is that if you're using this loadout, corrosive acid, you can see it increases the damage of your acid pool and caustic spray and increased movement speed of allies. But it also has another benefit, and that is that whenever you use your Q, which is whenever you use hardening, you also leave a big pool of acid there apart from your explosion. That's something that is only used with this talent.
Don't give up.
And it doesn't say, I don't know why, but yeah, you can get that. When you swap your loadout, you don't get that anymore. The next thing that I don't know how to explain it here because I don't see another Yagorath, for example, or someone with the vulnerability, is that your ultimate can take people and eat them. Yeah, that's what everybody knows. And you get your different pool of 4k or more if you use the card for it. There's a card that gives you up to 1000 more health whenever you're using your ultimate. But the thing is, whenever you're using your ultimate, you should always focus on using it when you see people with the E. Because if you don't, you just waste it. Like this. And it takes a half of your ultimate charge. Which is not really a lot, you can recharge it again. But I just wanted to show you that you can miss your ultimate, and if you miss it, you lose half of your points. The same with Yagorath. If you use your ultimate on someone, because you can see the E, but that someone is CC immune or is another Yagorath, for example, it's going to count as if you missed your ultimate. It will seem like you got it because you use E, but it's like you missed it. So even if you see the mark of your ultimate on another Yagorath, don't use it. It's useless. The next things are your talents. Because there are 3 talents, I was trying to categorize them. Corrosive acid is obviously the talent that does more damage. If you want to do a Yagorath that does damage or maybe hunts people, because you can hunt with Yagorath, it's just not really common right now, you use corrosive acid. You do more damage with that, and your allies move on your pool faster, while slowing the enemy. The next one is Psych Begets Strength, which is like a sort of support Yagorath. When you use this, when you use this, you give your allies a shield, and it's at the same range of the vision that I was explaining earlier with the enemies. You might have seen the red circles go up to like here, but it actually reaches farther than you thought. So this ability is not as bad as you might think at first. It's really good for support. Whenever you're a Yagorath that is moving a lot or have another frontline that is taking the point, you can use that and hunt people. Give them shields, give shields to you and your allies while hunting. Yeah, that's... I don't know how useful it's going to be honest, but it's a kind of support talent. And the next one, that is like really OP in my opinion, is this unnatural persistence. What this does is heals you whenever you're on the objective. So if you're a point tank with Yagorath, which I think most of us are right now, you take this, you stay on the point, and you start healing yourself. The thing is that this effect increases the longer you maintain it. So if you stay on the point long enough without going away, you can get up to 65 health every 0.25 seconds. So a quarter of a second you heal 65%. That's a lot. And while on an objective, you might think that so whenever you stand on the point, you heal a little whenever you're on the objective, blah 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 blah. The objective is also the payload. So if you stand on the payload or are near the payload, you still heal because that's the objective too. The payload is also the objective. That's like really useful. With this, you can be with this and the correct cards for defense. You can tank like the whole team and survive for a while your whole team is coming to save you. This makes you like a powerful tank, a really powerful tank whenever you are on the point or payload. If you want to be a defensive Yagorath, use this. Now, the loadout. I was testing two kinds of loadouts, the damage and the defense. This for example is the card that I was saying that gives you up to 1000 more life on your ultimate. Okay, so I was testing some loadouts for defense. I found when I was playing a match, I found a Bora that was like unkillable. I don't know if it was the enemy team or if it was really the loadout of that Yagorath, but I wanted to test it. This is the loadout of that Yagorath that I saw, and the thing is that reduce the duration and effectiveness of crowd control. It's a really powerful card for Yagorath. Let's start with that, because Yagorath cannot be stunned or really affected that much by those kind of statuses, but it actually like gives you a little effect whenever they try to do something to you with those kind of abilities to stun or move you or whatever. So using this, you can reduce that crowd control. This is really good because, like I said, Yagorath is, although it seems like Yagorath isn't affected as much, she is, so you should take this card into account. The other one, well, this is a really powerful card. For like 2 seconds, 1 second, or depending on the level of your card, I think, you can use a lot of acid. So if you're rolling, for example, if you're just rolling and want to go to people,
I feel that it's time to augment my power.
Okay. If you're rolling and you put yourself, you can just spray a lot. And you can use your quills, give them a lot of damage because they're on the pulse. Like, Bora is really OP if you know how to play her with damage. Okay. So, as I was saying, this card is really good for using that. You're rolling and you position yourself, you just spit acid everywhere with 2 seconds. And with a lot of acid around, your team can help you better because you slow them. With your quills, you do more damage to them. I don't know if your team does it, but yeah, that might be good to test for you guys. The next thing is reduce the cooldown of piercing quills each time you hit an enemy with caustic spray. This card is useful. This card is useful because you might have piercing quills. You have like 8 piercing quills, but if you're on a match fighting like crazy, it's going to be wasted a lot faster. Look at that, I already have no quills. So if you're on a fight, on a massive team fight, you're going to run out of kills. That's why you should take that into account. If you spray a lot of people with your venom, you're going to get your quills faster. You might change this card if you don't like it a lot, but I suggest that, yeah, this is the middle card for. These are really good cards. This is a middle one. You can change it if you want. Then these two. I didn't understand really well what these cards do, but with a little bit of testing I started to notice why people would like to choose this. So first is this. Increase the efficacy of hardening by 80% but reduces duration by 40%. What does that mean? Hardening I think lasts for like 4 seconds. If you reduce its duration, it's going to last only 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, something like that, reducing it by 40%. That means that you are not going to be defended for 4 seconds. You might think that's bad, because yeah, it would be better to hide for 4 seconds and then run away, whatever. But not really, because if you are really being focused by the whole team, the whole enemy team, you might want to increase your efficacy, so that if you are a little bit low on health, you might not survive the whole 4 seconds if your efficacy is just the normal one. With this, you increase your efficacy by 80%, so if you normally receive like 1000 damage, and using hardening you reduce it by, I don't know, 500 for example, with this you will receive like 200 damage, I think, something like that. It reduces the amount of damage you take by a lot, obviously with the reduced duration. So because you're not going to get focused for 4 seconds straight, because when people see you hardening they're going to stop shooting at you or something like that, this is a good card for being defensive. You get a lot of extra super defense for a short while, because not a lot of people is going to shoot you like crazy when you are borrowed. Okay, the last card is Out of Time, which halves the efficacy of hardening and for X seconds after using hardening gain its benefits. You can get it up to 2.5 seconds. This one is a strange card. At first you would think, why would I have my efficacy? The way this card works is, how could I say, strange. If you want to be a super defensive Yagorath, what you should do is reduce this and get more of this, like this. I would think this would be a pretty defensive Yagorath. Why? And this is the part that's somewhat confusing. With this you get double your efficacy of hardening, and with this you halve it, so you get the normal hardening base basically. But this is the important thing for this card. For 2 seconds in this case, I could get it up to 2.5. For 2 seconds after using hardening gain its benefits. What this means is, so you see, if you use hardening, first let's look at my health. When I put in front of one of these gases, you're going to see that her shot takes like one bar and a little bit more of my bar from the health. You can see my health on the bottom left. You're going to see that when I use hardening, she takes like 1/3 or even less probably from that bar. And because I have this card right now that has the efficacy but gives me its benefits for more, after I finish using the hardening, I'll still get less damage for 2 seconds in this case. Just see this. See my health. See how my health is getting reduced. Now with hardening, and then look at my health after I finish my hardening. Look at this. Do you see that? Did you see that? Because she was reloading, it didn't show, but okay, let's test again so that you guys can see it better. Now, look at my health. Then I finish, and I still receive little damage. It's only for like 2 seconds, but if you're on a team battle when not only Akasi but like 4 people are shooting at you, this is a really good ability, because it gives you more time using the benefits of hardening. Now, why do people use this with this card? Because with this you reduce its duration. So let's say you get like, with this card only, you get 200 efficacy and reduce its duration at 2 seconds, because hardening lasts 4 seconds. So this gives you double the hardening efficacy, but middle the time, 2 seconds. With this, you get your normal hardening, but you get its benefits for 2 more seconds. So with these 2 cards right now at 5 and 4, you get 4 seconds of normal hardening, just the way it is. but for the last 2 seconds you can still move and do things. That's really OP in my opinion. You just stay on one place for 2 seconds, after those 2 seconds you do a lot of damage and you still get damage reduction for 2 more seconds. That's like OP as hell. If you want to be a really defensive Yagorath, I would suggest you use these 2 cards in conjunction. And I'd actually like to test this in a match, using the 5 and 4 and getting not a lot of this acid reduction. But it's going to be problematic. So, because this is really defensive but not a lot of damage because of this, I'm going to reduce this for a little, get 0.5 seconds and get a little bit more of this. And I think that's going to be my current loadout for Yagorath. I really like the way this looks actually. Yeah, I think... Oh yeah. One last thing. I'm using that as my defensive loadout for now. But I also wanted to show my current damage loadout. I don't know how good it is because I only played Yagorath like 2 matches. I'm doing all of this on training and looking at other people how people play. This is the corrosive acid. This gives more damage to your acid. This is the talent to go for if you want to do damage at Yagorath. And this was a loadout that I was thinking. With this I get more acid capacity. Generate acid after hitting an enemy with piercing quills. I think this would be at least 2 points, not 1. I was just testing this loadout. I did this, so I'm going to edit it. I would reduce this and get more point of this. Why? Because I'm doing a lot of damage. This is good for me. For 1.6 seconds I'm going to spray like crazy. And with this I'm still getting acid when hitting people with piercing quills. This will give me life steal for 3 seconds. So with these 2 cards, what I do is I roll out and I go and plant myself and spray acid like crazy. I get lifesteal for 3 seconds and I can spray acid like crazy for 1.6 seconds. So this is really good for a Yagorath that wants to surprise attack people. You roll out and as soon as you plant you start spraying like crazy, getting lifesteal and everything. And I got this too, that increases the efficacy and reduces duration. Why this card is really OP? Not only because of the more efficacy, but as I was explaining before, it's useless to have your 4 seconds on hardening really. And because you reduce your duration, you also get the damage it does for full charge as soon as possible. I think it does like 1000 or 1100 damage. You could change this card to this to reduce the duration and effectiveness of crowd control if you want to, or to the reducing cooldown of piercing quills. You could use this to increase the duration. Actually, I think I'm going to use it. I'm going to test it. Let's test it. 1.2 seconds more. Or probably... no, that's good I think. The maximum acid capacity I could probably reduce it to get more of this. But I want to test it the way it is. Yeah, this is a little tweak for my damage test for Yagorath. And I'm going to be using those 2 loadouts. Another last thing that I would tell people when they plan to play on with Yagorath is that Yagorath is really good on high grounds because your acid pool is not a straight line. You see, if you shoot it really high, it doesn't even leave a pool. So you need to shoot them like that. You can shoot. That's the farthest I think you can go, and it's really low. It doesn't have a lot of range. You can use your piercing quills and everything, but yeah, it's really not that good. You can use it on walls too. As you can see, it can get stuck on the wall. I don't know exactly why, but that's something that can happen. Sometimes I think whenever your acid hits a wall, it like falls directly and directly on the first place that it can get stuck to. So probably there's something here, like a ledge or something that it can stand. And I think it could be best tested on these boxes.
Nothing if left unspent.
So if I shoot here, it stays here. But if I shoot here, it will stand on the boxes. You see, it just gets stuck on the first thing that it can land. So I'm guessing the acid is like a ball that you throw. You see, it falls directly on the wall it takes. Yeah, so the way for Yagorath is because its venom is like a ball that falls with gravity. You should take the high ground, and from here you can spray people. You can get a better height of field of vision, and you can aim your venom better because you just look straight and it like falls. If you try to shoot people like from here, you try to aim and it doesn't work really. It's really a problem. I don't know. You need to play a lot with Yagorath. You need to know how to play, how to aim with her, how to position yourself. Yagorath is going to be a champion for people that plays with her a lot. It's going to take a lot of mastery for someone to be good with Yagorath, I think. And that's why I really love her. I want to main her really. I want to main Yagorath. That's so good. And now this for sure is going to be the last thing I wanted to show. It's the stupidly high range that it has on Yagorath ultimates. Look at where I am right now, here and here, and look at where Victor is. I cannot even reach him with my pool of venom. I can still shoot him, and my quills are actually really, they have a really long range. But I can get him from here. I can just... You need to be sure that the person you're going to take is not CC immune, and... Look. Now, why you can get people from really far away, but it would be better for you to take people when you are close to them. Well, for example, if a round that is a really good, a really tanky front line, in my opinion, if he gets close to you, you can just stand really close to him, and while you're spamming and everything, you just take him. Why do I think it's better to take people when they're as close to you? Because you just get 4,000 or up to 5,000 if you use a card. 4,000 health whenever you're using your ultimate. If you get all your ultimate health low, it doesn't mean you're going to die. It just means your ultimate is cancelled. But you don't want your ultimate to be cancelled. So what you need to do is use it on people that is not really far away. Why and when would you use your ultimate on people far away? When they're alone. When there's only like 1 or 2 people on their team right now that can hit you, or you're on a place that is really difficult for them to hit you from far away. Because you don't want to die when using your ultimate. You don't want your ultimate to be cancelled. If your ultimate is cancelled, you still have your whole life, but you don't want it to be cancelled because you waste it. You get it close and they're going to have less time for them to get you up to 4,000 health. It's hard to get 4,000 health out of Yagorath. One disadvantage that I've seen people not notice, and this is something that is for when you are playing with an allied Yagorath. When Yagorath is using her ultimate, she has 4,000 health. You cannot heal her. While she's using her ultimate, you cannot heal her. Right now, I'm vulnerable to attacks, and if I get, for example, a healing beam from Furia, I'm not going to heal. I'm going to heal once I finish my ultimate. I still have my whole life. But the 4,000 extra health that I think it's more like a shield than a health. The 4,000 health that it gives you is not it's not healable. You're not going to heal from that. That's why you need to use it as close as possible to people. And if you're on an allied Yagorath and you see that she's using her ultimate on someone, don't try to heal her. What you should try to do is try to make the enemy that is hitting her run away or something. If you're another tank, like for example Khan or Bike or Ash or whatever, put your shield in front of Yagorath. Don't let them kill her. Don't let her kill her ultimate, not kill her per se. You need to have a really good team with Yagorath in order to be really efficient. And at first it's hard when Yagorath is with someone like a Healing Beam Furia, because you cannot kill her really easily. The tactic for a team to kill Yagorath is to kill their supports, so that you can all spam her like crazy. Have like one people or something fighting Yagorath, but you should have like the flanks or even the damage or something, trying to kill the enemy healers, the enemy supports. You cannot kill Yagorath if she has one or two supports alive and fully committed to her. And if you are on the team of Yagorath, well, as I already said, you need to protect her when using her ultimate. You need to focus on killing the enemy supports and blah blah blah. Yagorath is a really fun champion to play, I think. And I cannot wait for her to be on the main game.
Credits are worth nothing if left unspent.
Well then, that was everything for this video. I wanted to talk about Yagorath and things that you should take into account when playing her, because I had people that just play her like crazy, but try to play her because she's the new champion and something, but they don't know how to play with her or things like that, or strategies, or what loadouts to do. I'm not an expert. I'm not really like the other Paladins YouTubers and everything, but I really like Yagorath and I want to play her really efficiently. I'll be looking at what they're going to do with her and what other people are going to use at loadouts, and yeah, I'm going to be looking into it. For now, this is what I'm doing, and if you guys liked it, then please like and subscribe and everything, and thanks for watching.